The United Kingdom is collapsing, China is in a Great Depression, and might lose an entire decade of growth like Japan did. The Fed is going to Paul Volcker us into our own depression for fear of a wage price spiral, and we might lose a decade of stock market returns. Sorry, that's just a lot of FUD I had to get out. And honestly, I just wanted to be transparent here. I think it's time to just have like a real talk discussion about what do I personally think? Like, rather than reporting the news and the crazy stuff that's going on, what do I personally think about the market? What am I personally feeling about my portfolio or investments? And what are some of my goals? So let's have some real talk on that. Now, keep in mind, I have the flu. It's Friday night. I'm going to try not to edit this video, so I'm going to try to just keep it straight and simple. And we do have an expiring coupon code tonight. Basically, tomorrow morning, we're going to wake up. We're going to change the courses over. We're going to remove the lifetime access benefits for a course like Path to Wealth and maybe some others. But if you get in, like if you can use the seed coupon and you get in, you're good. You're locked in lifetime access. So I'm confident you will love them. Most popular courses, by the way, is 0 to Millionaire Real Estate Investing, Stocks and Psychology of Money. A lot of people bundle those too. You get a better deal that way. All right. So I want to tell you a few stories. And it's all about building wealth. See, I really started focusing on my career in 2009. This is when I realized that I wasn't ever going to become a millionaire or successful working at Jamba Juice, making smoothies. I worked at Hollister before that, working at the back kitchen of Mrs. Fields Cookies, or working at Red Robin. Those jobs were not going to make me wealthy. I was trading my time for money, and it was horrible. So I decided to become a real estate agent during probably the most horrid time to get into real estate in 2010. The market hadn't even bottomed out yet. I mean, at the time, my manager at Red Robin's like, why would you get into real estate? That's a horrible business to go into. I would literally go to a checkout line at Trader Joe's. Okay, like respect for the people at Trader Joe's, but okay, they're giving me real estate advice. Oh, that's a bad thing to get into right now, like people are going through foreclosure and like the market sucks. Like that's what they would tell me. It's like, why would you become an agent right now? And the first reaction I had, and I didn't say this because there's just no point. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. But my mental reaction was one of, yeah, well, we'll see what happens in 10 years. Things worked out. I also thought, you know what? The time people need a real estate agent is when times are hard. When you could put up a for sale sign and sell a home yourself, what do you need a real estate agent for? I mean, there are a lot of things. I respect the profession. It's very difficult to close deals. Most for sale by owners cancel. It's ridiculous. Like, you have to be almost a psychologist to get a deal done. But my point is, it's easy to sell a home in a banging market. It's hard to keep a deal together in a hard market. That's what I started in. So if I could do the hard, I could do the easy, right? That's always a mentality that I had. And one of the things that you're going to learn in this story is that the harder things were at the time, the more I told myself that they were valuable and that they were worth doing. Because if it's easy, it might not be worth doing. It's easy to watch Netflix. It's easy to play video games. I still like playing video games, okay? But it's easy to do that. It's hard to be a real estate agent at the bottom market. And I thought the best thing I could do to get in was potentially get a hard money loan and buy my home. Because I looked like I was 19, because I was 19 or 18 when I got licensed. I looked like a child. Why would anybody, when your typical seller or buyer is like between 40 and 70, why would anybody trust me? And so I'm like, well, if I buy a house and I buy a fixer-upper, well, then people will trust me. And that's when I realized what true fear was. When I bought a house, realizing we might not actually have money to make the payment. We might have to, if we have a hard money loan and we don't close any deals in real estate, which that's really motivating, we might have to rent out the property and try to break even. Maybe even feed the kitty, where you pay maybe $200 or $300 a month at the time. I think we could have rented it for like $2,100. Our payment would have been like $2,000, but with fix up and stuff, property tax, whatever, all that in, we would have probably been negative a few $100, but fine. I mean, so we could rent it out. We could live there if we make enough money, so we're motivated because we want to live there. Or we could go bankrupt, right? Like, those are all the things facing us. And I remember when we bought the house, getting phone calls from contractors, and they're like, Kevin, went to go do a bid on the property, and I have some bad news. And I'm like, 19. I'm like, what? You're doing a flooring quote. What's the bad news? You have asbestos. Oh no. Dude, like, I never thought at that time that 5 to 6 years later, I would be running a licensed contracting company that did lead removal, asbestos removal with hazmat suits and whatever, the really expensive HEPA filters and the pipes and the vinyl. We did all of that, the taping up your wrists and your booties. We did all of that. Little did I know. But at the time, I was in a lot of fear. I was very uncertain. People were telling me the foreclosure bank is lying to you. Bet they didn't disclose that asbestos to you. I remember standing inside that property while I was in escrow, and I got a call from my lender who said, Kevin, the deal's dead. We can't do it. I fought so hard. They put the property back on the market, and some other guy, there were two guys, but some other guy comes first, and then another guy comes. I could still see their face. He's got like shorts on and a polo. He's probably like 50. He's got like the gray hair, and he's doing this, like looking in the windows. I locked all the doors, and I'm like thinking to myself, no, this is my deal. F off. I'm not letting you in. Sorry, I'm so sick. Anyway, everything I did was a fight. Starting as an agent at the bottom of the market, starting with real estate at the bottom of the market, when all the fear was that I was going to go bankrupt, that I had never done this before. Building a brand took years of distributing flyers. I had to work 11 months before I got my first paycheck. Distributing flowers, free pumpkins, door knocking, Halloween events, 2 to 3 open houses per week. The grind. If you think I grind on YouTube, well, it's about the same time. But I spent that same amount of time grinding as an agent. Constant. Every single day. I always told myself, the time to grind is before you have kids. Then I had kids, and I'm like, the time to grind is up until they're 7. Now I have a 7-year-old, and I'm like, oh, shit. I need to spend some more time with them. I'm working on it. We just had a great trip together. Had a great trip this summer together to Europe. Great cruise together. Probably got sick there. Anyway, I remember walking through neighborhoods when it was time for me to get my first rental. This was a couple years, about 2012, 13, something like that. The real estate market was improving at this time. And I remember walking with flyers, looking at my feet, telling myself, I will find a deal. I will find a deal. It sounds psychotic, but I'd watched the movie The Secret, and I really believed if I visualized what I wanted, I would achieve it. So I'm a big fan of visualizing. I remember my first year in real estate, I made $35,000. Even though I bought a car in March with 0 deals closed, and I told the car dealership, I think I'll make $24,000 this year. And they're like, great, but how much have you made so far? 0. How do you know you're going to make that money? I have no idea. Are you closing any sales? I have no idea. It's very honest. Give me the loan. Getting that loan was great, by the way. Really improved my credit. I mean, my credit was fine, but it took it to the next level where I could qualify for like bigger loans alone. That was really cool. Like student loans. I never ended up taking any student loans anyway. As I just worked as a real estate agent while I was going through college. Those were hard times. First year I made $35,000. I was in college. Second year I made $55,000. I was in college. And then the third and fourth year I went to UCLA. And I made $145,000. And then that year I told my father-in-law I want to make $200,000 next year. And I ended up making about $245,000. I was very, very, very excited. I'm a big fan of visualizing. So then I put 300 on the wall. Like I printed out the 300 logo. And I'm like, all right, let's just grind and make it happen. It happened. Then I put 500 on the wall. And I'm like, all right, let's grind. Let's make it happen. It happened. You see where this is going. Like the power of visualization works if you put in the hard work. The best years I ever had were actually in hindsight. They were my hardest years at the time, which I only realized were my best years in the future. I tried to provide so much value that I became a licensed lender, started a licensed contracting company to help people do handiwork so I could get their listings. That was very profitable for the real estate side, not so profitable for the construction side, but it was like a loss leader. It was great. I learned a lot about construction, what to do, what not to do. It's really great. That's going to help a lot with house hack, by the way. So I know exactly how to mess up with construction, but I also, for the past 5 years, in my opinion, I've been doing it perfectly. I mean, I shouldn't say perfect because I'm never going to be perfect, but I think we've gotten a lot better. And so we're ready to scale with house hack, which is very exciting, which is also very difficult, right? Everything goes back to what's hard in the time is usually worth it in the long run. I remember my father-in-law swing trading Apple stock 10 years ago, and I'm like, dude, I'm just going to buy and hold. Could have even been before that, like 08, 09 or something. I don't remember. Every day he'd tell me how much he was up. Sometimes I'd hear how much he was down, but he was always convinced he'd make it back. Of course, when I bought, the stock was down like 5% the next month, and I'm like, wow, my life is over. Held through it. One of the best performing stocks I've ever had, but I had to go through pain first. The same was true throughout my real estate career. In May of 2018, I had 7 listings that I got in 1 week. Let me tell you about something about those 7 listings. Interest rates skyrocketed, like mortgage rates went up like 2%, and it crushed all buyer demand at the prices where we had homes. I lost 5 of those 7 listings. It was so bad. We couldn't sell anything. And previously, everything was selling like hotcakes. But it really taught me about how interest rates moving is deadly for real estate. And look at it now. I mean, then we went from like 3.5% or 3.25% to 5%. Now we just went from 2.5% to 7.5%. And people are like, oh no, real estate's not going to come down. There's too little inventory. Yeah, okay. Watch. Anyway, painful times are times to make money. I remember March of 2020. You can actually go through my course member live streams in March of 2020. And you can see me buying the dip. I remember standing on March 16th in a rental property I was about to close on thinking, holy crap, we could lose everything. We had about 12 at the time, maybe it was 10 or something like that. And I'm like, we could lose everything. Every tenant might stop paying and we might go into foreclosure. You know, all my money might dry up. Everything might go to crap. Hardest times ended up proving to be the best times. It just took a while. You know, then obviously you have the pain of what happened here in January 2020. I didn't even think about the pain of my childhood. I mean, I don't really want to go into that though. That was tough. Divorce, relativity, you know, really poor parents and poor life, but wealthy family in Germany, which they didn't like send us any money or anything. It was just like when we would go visit them, I'm like, why do they have money and we don't? And so I always associated how much they worked and how they worked hard with, oh, the harder you work, the luckier you get. I get it. Remember that 5, 6, 7, 8, every time we visited. And we'd scrap together money to get to the back of the plane. And I'm like, wow, I guess that's how you do it. You just work. Anyway, so people wonder, like, why do you work so hard? It's probably that, my upbringing. Because I had the comparison. Like, I live poor, but I compared to rich. Selling my stocks in January of 2022, I was ostracized for. That was very hard. I lost my millennial money friends. I was hated on as a flip-flopper. I lost subscribers. I lost relationships that I had. A client took me to coffee and said I was overreacting and that I should seriously reconsider selling my real estate, that they were worried I lost my mind. I got out of the recessionary stocks, the stocks that would do terribly in a recession. I had already sold Shift in 2021. If you came to the live streams, I regularly said that the supply shortage was terrible for them. I think I got out around 6.5 or 7 and made lots of videos on this. Got out of Peloton at 113. I talked about that heads up. Got out of a firm at 65. I think my basis was like 80 on that, so I did get tagged. And I briefly went back in at 35 and then sold at 30, so I did get tagged twice on that one. I did get robbed on BlockFi and Robinhood. Matterport, probably somewhere around 11, but Robinhood, probably 14. Definitely got nipped. But a lot of those positions fell another 50 to 90%. I didn't have to tell anyone that I sold, but I said to everyone who bought my Stocks and Psychology of Money course, yes, the same one with the coupon code expiring, that if I ever sell or change my mind, I'll let you know. I was one of the first, I believe, in in my YouTube community here, the finance community, to ring the alarm bells, and so all of a sudden I was branded as, you know, someone you can trust, or as a liar, because how could Kevin buy the dip on the 18th and then sell everything on the 21st of January, especially with all those tax consequences? Oh, why didn't he tell us all right away? Like, I did, within 24 hours. It's like, had you sold the next day on the 24th, at the end of the trading day, you would have sold for more than I sold. And you should never just copy somebody else's portfolio moves, right? Everybody's doing things for their own purposes. That's why even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, I can't give you financial advice because I don't know how old you are. I don't know what your goals are. What if you're like, I'm 65 and I want to work another 20 years? Or what if you're like, I'm 65 and I want to retire in 1 year? You know, those are totally different goals. What if you're 15 and you're making 100 grand a year, or you're 20 and you're making 20 grand a year, right? Those are all totally different scenarios. That's why you can't give broad-based financial advice to people. But anyway, you know, it's been a ride. You know, in April, I lost my best friends. They went to an opportunity in Dubai. That opportunity didn't work out. I've never had a breakup before. You know, I've been with Lauren since I was 16. I've never had a breakup. I don't know what that pain is like, but I feel like I learned what a breakup is like from losing my two friends. They were employees as well, which is terrible. Like, don't mix business and friendship. But they went to an opportunity in Dubai. I really hope that would work out for them, because the worst case scenario, I always told myself, is like, somebody leaves you, you want to do everything to help them succeed, because if they don't succeed with what they're doing, then they might have resentment that, oh, well, like maybe if you know, cut your fingernails one day earlier, I wouldn't have wanted to leave. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. So you don't want resentment. But anyway, that was hard. You know, I talked about I'd made a DUI video. Very hard. Very hard time. A lot of perspective. Running for governor. Really hard. A lot of people are like, oh, you're a politician now. Oh, I'm going to unsubscribe because you said this. You have that idea. Well, it's tough. But I will say, everything in my life that I've done that has been hard has ended up proving to be worth it. And this entire video is a response to the market we're in today. The entire market is compressing. This is very hard. It is not compressing because of individual company fundamentals. I gotta wrap this up. I don't believe so. Like, Tesla's individual company fundamentals, with the exception of foreign exchange impairments that I think they're going to take in Q3 earnings, and I think they're going to get hit hard on that. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to get hit hard on that. They have only fundamentally met expectations, if not exceeded them. But it's painful. And I'm buying the dip. You know, I own other stocks as well. Again, you get all of those in the courses on Building Your Wealth, and we do fundamental analysis live streams every day. But look, I can do fundamental analysis until I'm blue in the face. You know, the NASDAQ did a piece on me. If you do meet Kevin NASDAQ, 23andMe, and I'm like, this thing's overvalued. I wouldn't touch it. Freaking thing drops like 80%. You know, I'm like, sell Rivian. This thing's gonna plummet. Plummeted like 95%. Plug Power is like $76, and I'm like, no, overvalued. Sell it. Thing goes down massively, like over 70 or 80%. XL Fleet, big mistake, $19. I'm like, sell it. What was the other one? Who's the 3D printer manufacturer? Boy, I got a lot of hate for that one. Or Hyliion. Hyliion was another one. I'm like, don't buy this. Bad. You can still go back and see my videos. I'm like, big problems, big dangers. What was the 3D printer one? The one Kathy Wood invested in, the Iranian CEO. Dude, that guy was so smart. Every time the stock would momentum up, he just issued new shares. So smart. That guy was brilliant. Brilliant CEO. So I haven't been perfect with my moves. And I know that. But I know that I can do fundamental analysis. And I personally believe that for my portfolio, having a chunk in Tesla is a fundamentally correct move. And I've been through a lot of pain. Now, I can't compare to, pain other people have had. Loss, death, illnesses. I mean, I have the flu, but come on. This is going to go away, right? And knock on wood. Like, I don't wish any of that on anyone. I'm not trying to compare and say, like, oh, Kevin's had a hard life. I think I've overall had a good life. I think there are life experiences, though, that have shaped me into who I am. But I will say, every time I have fundamentally looked at something, in my opinion, and I'm like, the pain is temporary. It's worked out. No guarantees. I'll get a lot of hate. It's all right. Good news is, well, I don't want to seem like I'm giving financial advice, but I'm like, you could buy lower than my new cost basis, right? Any shares you buy now, you could be like, I have a lower basis than me, Kevin. I don't do basis. Basis has psychological problems because it actually, like, when a stock starts going up, it prevents you from wanting to buy because then your basis goes up. So then you under allocate. You know, some people bought Tesla with like 30 grand, 5 years ago, and they never add. And it's like, really? You added any time before like a year and a half ago, and when you bought in 5 years ago, you would have done well, but you're too worried about that cost basis going up in the image. Bad psychology. Anyway, I have a course on the psychology of money. 0 to millionaire real estate investing is pretty popular too. Anyway, I gotta go. I hope you appreciate this. Real talk. Bye.